Howdy, everyone. Troy Pruitt here, your community manager for Crusader Kings. Today we're going to be talking about war stories, or trials and tribulations in the making of Crusader Kings 3. With me today, I have three of my good buddies from the team. Mid-level Matt.
Hello.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's experienced Matt now, right?
Yeah, experienced.
Welcome, experienced Matt. We have Magne, and we have Jakub joining us on remote dial-in. Howdy, boys. Thanks for joining me today. Glad you're here.
Thank you for having us, Troy.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Good to see y'all.
We're in
Good to see y'all.
Seoul.
So, today we're going to be talking about war stories, things that happened during the making of the game that were memorable for us, things that were hurdles or challenges, and things that we just generally want to share with the public to make them realize we're not all stuffed shirts. We like to have fun. We're here to make a game, but we also have fun while we're doing it. While we're not the best of friends, we do work together all the time, so it gives us a lot of shared common ground and makes it so that we have an easy working relationship. While we will maybe go grab beers at some point when we're allowed to, not really available right now.
I was about to say, wait, we're not the best of friends?
We are.
Troy.
We are. For those of you that don't know.
Matt's been to both my housewarmings.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know, I do stream with Matt every Wednesday. He has to deal with me at least once a week.
All of the dad jokes and the puns.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's the worst.
I'm
Jake
so
and I
sorry.
have streamed a couple times. I'm going to eventually drag Magne on to stream at some point and make him deal with me.
Hopefully, yeah.
And so...
Yeah, it's always been good fun, you know?
Yeah. Jake and I had our weird little adventure going on. We may continue that at some point. It was terrible. We made some really bad decisions and some really good ones, so...
I mean, mostly just bad.
Right.
Bad decision for me was, being completely unprepared. Just generally speaking. There's no detail to this.
No, not at all. Just
Your
lots of
alive
fun.
eyes just tell the story. Yeah.
But speaking of which, you guys all have custom characters in games. For those of you that don't know, everyone on the dev team has, Easter egg characters that are in the game for people to find if they can. One of the most memorable of those is Magne. We have Magne in game, and Magne is a very memorable character. We also have tiny suffragan Bishop Magne. You want to tell us about that, buddy?
Yeah. I mean, I think most memorable is certainly overstating it, but my character does tend to show up a bit all over the place. My character has relatively high learnings, so he gets selected a lot to be a bishop. And since he also has the nickname Tiny, that persists even when he becomes landed. So rather than just being a suffragan bishop, he's a tiny suffragan bishop. Sometimes he even goes as far as becoming pope and becomes a tiny pope. Sadly not Magne, because you get renamed when you become pope. But it's still, a nice little touch there that is very important to know that he's really, really tiny. Though that might raise the question.
What's uncanny about your character is that you made it look just so similar, and you have that kind of signature look of superiority every single time I see you in game. So kind of fits for a pope, but the stature is not really making up for it. But you do make up for it with the hat, so that helps out.
A very big hat.
Exactly. Like everyone looks like at least a full foot taller in a pope hat. So that's what I should start wearing in real life, to be honest.
So we do
You might wonder why the hell am I called Tiny Magne, though?
Why
are you so small?
Yeah, exactly. Like in real life, I'm not that small. I'm a bit short, but I'm not tiny. I'm like 170, so shorter than average, sure, but not tiny as such. But around a couple of years ago, we were releasing Holy Fury, and I went on, or maybe it was Jade Dragon, I don't even remember anymore. And I went on the stream for that since I was on the dev team at the time. And I was sitting there between Foreus and Altner, who are like the designer and game director on CKIII and CKIII. And they're both quite large people. Like both of them are tall, and I'm quite a bit shorter. And on top of that, I was sitting, a good half meter behind them. So on camera, I looked absolutely tiny next to them. Like the top of my head was like at their shoulder level. I didn't notice this because I was streaming, and the camera's really tiny there. But in the off-topic channel we have at work for the game, people were just noting that, oh wow, Magne looks really tiny and so on. And then they started turning that into memes. The cutouts were made into emojis and so on. And before you know it, I'm next to, suits of armor, just shoulders, all sorts of things. And then, the rest of the dev team just shows up on stream later on because we were popping the confetti, and they just say hi to me as Tiny Magne, and I have no idea what the hell they're talking about, but I just go along with it. And later I had a lot of fun just reading through all the crazy stuff people put in our off-topic channel while I was streaming.
My favorite one is by far the two flexed arms. The two flexed arms next to Magna's face. It's just so small, just
big flexing Magna. But I think we have a picture of that. I think we have a picture. Do we have a picture? We have a picture we can show about that, I think.
Yeah, no, there should be a picture from the stream where you can see me down in the corner between these two massive people, and just you can see why the nickname stuck.
Yeah. But on the subject of character creation, hey Matt, I heard you did a little thing called Character Creator.
Yeah,
You want to tell us about that? Ruler designer?
Baby for a little while, Troy, the ruler designer. Before release, we knew that we wanted to have the ruler designer, and the fans wanted it as well. And then in a post-release patch, we put it out there, and it was a lot of time.
Was it
from me?
Was it a lot of time, Matt?
It was a decent amount of time, especially getting all of the portraits to customize nicely. We've got some really cursed outtakes of the portraits just being like skin and bones and the skeleton model underneath, and not quite a good look. Or, people, we let people run pretty wild with what you could create, so we didn't want to put too many limits on, but it does mean you can make some faces that really implode.
We had a Twitter feed about that. I don't know if you saw the horrifying cursed images that came up from Ruler Designer after launch, but if you guys haven't seen those, you should definitely take a look at our Twitter and see some of the interesting characters that were created for sure.
They're quite cursed, I must admit.
Yeah.
I think that I remember we were like, Art wanted to put it within reason, and then we were like, time-wise, here's the min and max we can do safely. Yeah. Everything else we're just going to let go through. Because, if you want to make your character look like Dobby, then you do you, man.
Right.
Like, if you want to implode that head and look like a weird little elf creature, who am I to judge?
Maybe some people look like tiny little elf creatures and felt represented.
Matt, I have a question for you. Do you feel like the people that are created with the ruler designer are like your children to some degree?
That's a deep question, Jakub. Some of them I hope they aren't.
Only the gingers.
Only the ginger. Every ginger character you create in the ruler designer is my child, deep down.
Done. Sold.
Especially the ones that are older.
Noted.
They have sold their soul if they had one to me.
I like it. It's a good compromise.
We need to put that into terms and conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's already in there. People just don't read that bit.
Every ginger playing the game sells the soul to Matthew Cloacy.
Yeah,
and it's just in the tiny print with 2 asterisks in the beginning.
Actually,
because no one reads those anyway, right? So
I don't even get them. No. Why?
Matt is a ginger, so he doesn't get the souls. His lawyer is Magne, and Magne gets all the souls.
It's true.
That's not fair. I'm getting ripped. I'm getting ripped off.
You signed this contract.
Ripped off in my own feature.
Actually, I think that was part of the alpha test plan. We had a monster test plan, and Jakub is very intimately familiar with our gigantic, colossal, color-coded alpha test plan, right?
Oh yeah, and then so it was a holdover from Ewan, who is now the content designer. Hi, Ewan. For CKIII, he's also produced a bunch of stuff, but he also is very keen on making long-lasting and very intricate test plans. So when we're doing the alpha test plan for CKIII, that was roughly when I arrived, and Ewan's like, "Okay, here you go. Here's a test plan. You go work with it." So I just take a look at it, and it has like 5,000 lines. And if you don't understand how long 5,000 lines are, it takes about half a minute of scrolling down until you reach down to the bottom level of it. And we had to go through it. Like, there's no other way. We had nothing else to work with. And Ewan spent about 2 to 3 months just writing that test plan. The best part about it was once we were finished with it in a month of work time, we just threw it in the trash and we swore to never do something like this ever again. And test plan now lives in our memories as something that we'll never ever do ever again, no matter what the setting and circumstance is. That was a very good lesson from you, and thank you very much.
I mean, I feel like I've seen you have some test plans since then that have been similarly cursed. I feel like it was, earlier last week that I just saw you have like 100 by 100 things that you were going to test against one another. So I'm not sure how much you've really learned there.
That's not as cursed, though. That one is actually really nice looking, and it worked quite well because it is a matrix for testing, so you have to check things against other things. So it needs to be long. And then a couple of people said, well, this is not really usable because it takes us half a minute to scroll either way rather than just one way. So I did a smart thing, and I just cut it into 3 parts. So I kept the amount of the stuff that we need to test, but I just put it into 3 parts. And people are like, yeah, that's actually pretty good. That's manageable.
I love the brutality of literally the same throwing humans away.
Yeah.
Just throwing it away wholesale after you were done with it. You're like, do we want to keep this for posterity? No, bin.
Entire trash can.
I do keep a copy. No, I keep a copy secretly safe with a cursed name that only I know, and it's somewhere there for my children or my children's children to see and think about you and think about.
It's actually one of you and Horcruxes.
I don't want to meet this person.
Part of the onboarding process for CKIII QA is you show them that and say, don't do that, please.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but also cursed. A minute of scrolling.
I like how Jake's also like, we'll never do that again. We hate big plans. We're never going to do that again. Anyway, I made 3 equally monster matrices.
He's like, but it's not. It's like it's slightly
That's
smaller.
How QA
though.
works.
We took learning.
We just made it look pretty. We made macros. Automation, macros, pretty colors, different fonts, like Papyrus or Comic Sans, and you can work with anything, dude.
I pray that I never have to see any
in
test
case you don't know how QA
Sans.
works. Basically that's how QA works. And level 1 QA tester, level 100 QA lead.
It's just the density of your matrix.
How big is your test plan determines your level.
Exactly. That's it. That's the only difference between the levels. Oh man, but speaking of things we had to check every day, I know there's a lot of things that are really important to the team. We have checklists, tasks, events, smokes, all kinds of things we have to do on a daily basis, checking our calendars. But there's one thing that's the most important thing of the entire team, and you know what that is. The Daily Bazcat.
Yes.
Magne, please tell everyone about the Daily Bazcat.
I mean, the Daily Basket has been the highlight of this very, 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 very long quarantine. And it started, I think, roughly 2 days into quarantine. We had Ewan again, as mentioned earlier. He has a very lovely cat called Bascat. And he has been keeping track of how far we're into the quarantine now by posting a picture of Bascat every single workday since quarantine started. I think we're nearing day 500 at this point. It's been a while, but luckily we have Bascat to keep us company and keep us sort of sane. I mean, how sane can you be working on CK, I suppose?
Exactly.
I bet you would really regret that.
Is also
like 450 to 500 days, that's the thing. You start thinking this will be 100 days of quarantine and work from home, and then 500 days later, you're like, I'm really sick of this now.
Yeah, I think
we
you
all love the
imagine it would be a
pictures.
few weeks even. I mean, it brings a lot of people a lot of joy, so I think he kind of likes doing it. I mean, he even
it's worth it.
Around Christmas, he made a compilation video of every picture up to that point as well. That just kind of showed just the sheer number of pictures that have been involved. And I mean, Bascat's also immortalized in the game itself. We have Glitterhoof from CK2, of course, show up when you have an error in the game and you're in debug mode, basically telling you hey, please make this error stop happening. And there's a 1 in 100 chance when Glitterhoof shows up that it is instead Bascat. In fact, there are 4 different variants, I believe. We have Glitterhoof most of the time. We have Bascat some of the time. We have Baby Jesus some of the time. And we also have Erebert, who is, I think, ported from the CK2 Alpha.
I think we found the CK2 Alpha portrait.
But he really brightens our day with his smile when he shows up. It takes away the sting of, hey, you made a mistake.
It's an interesting point that you made because, I relaunch the game over and over, tens of 20 times a day. And every single time it's just Errorhoof or Glitterhoof in a bishop hat. But every single time I see Erebert with his silly little face that is just completely cursed, just makes
my beautiful
day.
Smile. His beautiful, beautiful smile.
That smile, that beautiful smile.
I think that if anything, our errors should be as cursed as possible, because that then gives a strong motivation for you to get rid of them, sooner rather than later.
Exactly.
It's true.
Otherwise, you see the
I made the whole system
judgmental eyes.
for showing these. I made the whole system for showing these images because originally we only had Glitterhoof, and then I think someone added Baby Jesus as a 1% chance. But then we found out we need more pictures like this. So I spent some personal development time at some point just making a little system where if you just add to the length of the image strip and add some localization, then it'll just show up automatically with a 1% chance.
Does that mean we can have an error Troy?
Like 100 of them.
We can have an error Troy yelling at us. Troy, do your best angry face in the camera.
Yeah.
Wait.
And now he's listening.
There we go.
He was tuned. He was tuned away, and now he's listening.
There we go. Our best error Troy.
We can put the rest of the time.
Yeah,
just the whole time.
That could go in the game. And each of them can have their own unique text as well. So Bascat tells you that he's hungry, of course. He wants to be fed, poor thing.
What do you want your error text to be, Troy? When you tell us off for making an error, what do you want it to say?
I mean, you're putting me on the spot here, and we're on a video.
Come up with something funny, Troy. Now.
We believe in
this error is bananas.
All right, this error is bananas.
Okay.
Well, maybe game development is an iterative process, people.
Yeah.
An iterative process. We can find a better line. We'll try.
We can. I can't say what I would actually tell you because that's not allowable by our content rating. Exactly. But that's okay. We'll get there. For those of you that do tune into our streams, you definitely know that we have a little bit of a racy commentary sometimes between Matt and I. We're friends, I think. Friends that want to punch each other can be considered friends.
Every time he says "I think," and I'm like, just the dagger goes deeper.
I know.
I mean, the nice thing about wanting to punch each other and having Easter egg characters is that we can just, take it out on the Easter egg characters themselves. Like, my character usually does fine, but some of the other devs don't do quite as well. I think it's Ewan, for instance, that has literally every disfigurement in the game at the start. So we had to just give him extra health so that he doesn't just instantly die from all of his different ailments.
Ewan of beef jerky.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think it was Matt's character where for a while we had repo steps. That is, how do you get this bug to happen? Where it starts off with, do this thing to Matt. Usually imprisonment, murder, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, a lot of bugs from when I first joined the project, because we copied a lot of the history over from Crusader Kings 2, and so it was my old Easter egg character,
right,
which was woefully unbalanced as well. But a lot of the steps, because he showed up in a lot of events and stuff, was to imprison my character, behead them, torture him, do other unspeakable things, and I had to fix some of these things. And I went to one of our QA at the time, also called Matt, and I was like, "Why are you doing this to me?" And he was like, "Well, first it was an accident, and now it's just fun."
You've deserved this.
I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I deserve this punishment.
Occasionally it involved doing nice things to you, like giving you land and such. And then
rarely. Sometimes it was like sending a gift.
It's actually really funny because you say that your character is ported over and that's where the errors came from. Actually, I think I asked Alex Holtner, our game director, to give me a few of the unique things just so I could test them easier, and I think we just never removed them. So in the game, I permanently have a secret of being a deviant. I also have a pet rock that went missing at some point because Ewan thought it's really funny, so he's going to misplace my pet rock. That was basically my story. Just I think you, Matthew, are a bit more like people taking it out on your character, whereas in my position, I was just really masochistic. And now I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest.
I mean, I'd rather have done it
my character
myself
went through a lot
than have everyone else come and murder me,
What we really need in game is an error Matt who just looks really aggrieved and goes, "I can't believe you've done this."
That'd be a good one, actually.
Right?
That'd be
right. Exactly.
I'm gonna add that in.
Yeah,
we have Maddie Fields.
Yeah,
we have Maddie Fields on Slack. We can probably use that.
We do have emojis on Slack based off of people at the office.
Yep.
And there's an upsettingly large number of my face.
There are. It's upsetting.
There's 10, I think.
Yeah, that's why I say upsetting. One was I was like, okay. 10, I'm like, wow, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
One for every occasion.
I don't think I've made it into Slack yet. I know I'm on Discord, but I don't know if I've made it onto Slack.
The Discord emojis are great because they're like the curated ones for the public.
Yeah.
The Slack ones where all the spicy internal memes are.
Oh yeah. I like how Ewan made one just to express disappointment with the puns that I've made with him. He literally has an emoji in Slack to express how upset the puns make him.
I mean, that's an achievement in itself, though.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. He really does hate my puns, cannot stand them, and that's my job. That is literally my entire job.
It's in the contract.
It is. My entire job, ladies and gentlemen, is to make terrible puns and drive my coworkers completely bananas. Oh, look at the bananas. There we go.
No, it's still not sticking.
Speaking of contracts, Matt, you want to talk about Vassal Contracts and the 2.0?
Yes, Vassal Contracts. So they were one of the features that we announced in one of the earlier dev diaries, and it had been a fairly simple system. And internally, it was one of the things on our, depending on how the development is going, can we take a second look? And when the response from the dev diary and the community sort of cemented that, of everyone sort of agreeing with us internally of, yes, this needs to be a lot more interesting to sort of show off the interesting things medieval rulers will do, them and their vassals, the contracts they have, their negotiations. So we spent a lot of time, me, our game director Alex, and one of our UX designers at the time, Peter, going through in some extra time and sort of giving just a full overhaul, a new breath of life. So taking it from being just about like tax and levies to having lots of different contract options, protect you from religious persecution from your liege or force your way onto the council,
right, and
other such fun options, more role play options and more interesting things.
Make things better.
Yeah, better.
Better.
Trademarked better.
Hashtag finger quotes better.
Hashtag hoping.
Hashtag pray.
But I mean, then we did a second dev diary on
proof.
it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's clear proof that, we do listen at times, right?
Right. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, when people have good ideas, But I mean, the second dev diary, if it really sort of helped us feel extra confident, like that it was useful, because we got a lot of good feedback and response from the new version.
It's not good feedback?
No.
Syphilis.
That doesn't sound good.
What's really bad about that? No, but there was an instance in game.
Where was that going?
I don't. Matt, if you wouldn't cut me off, there was a multiplayer session where we had ended the entire world with syphilis. Is that right? Jakub, can you back me up on this? Now's last MP session.
Yeah. Okay. So that story is from way back when in CKIII Alpha, and obviously we try to test the MP. We try to make sure it all works correctly. And this, if I remember this correctly, the story was that syphilis, for some reason, it was balanced in a way where it have 100% infection rate, which means that through intrigue and getting into beds, even if unsuccessful, you'd give them syphilis. Where Niall, our previous QA, used as a weaponry against everyone else. By basically having his character get infected with syphilis, he started to sleep with every single other person in the realm, his or his friends, and basically everyone he could, with a 100% chance of success and 100% chance of infecting people with syphilis to the point where the whole world was consumed by syphilis itself. Shortly after we fixed that, obviously. But no one would believe us that this is the case until people actually play MP and see it for themselves.
That was a fun session. And I mean, it's worth noting we were all very willing participants in this, because against the player, you can't just succeed the seduction plot without the player actually saying yes. The thing is, Niall has such a way with words that everyone said yes.
Niall started some biochemical warfare. Like, that's some medieval biochemical warfare going on.
I told you it made sense. I told you it was a good segue.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
Bang, told you. Got it. Nailed it.
There was one more thing. It wasn't really based on people interacting with each other in a bedchamber. It was more like people kind of carrying a virus of incest. So how it was basically parents would inherit incest from some byway, and at some point every single person in the family after a couple of decades would have incest trait. Every single person in that dynasty. And if you entangle with that dynasty and you had children of your own, they would also have the incest trait, which obviously was later also used as a weaponry against people, because we had that incest family tree and we just marry into it. We get one child with the incest trait and we just keep passing it off to people we don't like.
Wait, hold on.
I think how it worked is that characters weren't willing to do incest unless they were really, really lustful, or they already had the incest secret. So the moment one person got it, they would start pressuring all of their siblings into also getting it, and thus it spread really rapidly. Like, there's still an element of that in the game. Like, you're more willing to do incest if you've already done some incest, but it's been toned down to such an extent that it's no longer an epidemic of incest.
I was wondering how long it was going to take us to get to an incest topic on this panel, to be honest, and we took longer than I expected.
Let me see, about 23 minutes I'm hearing from the but it sounds like somebody literally just made a typo. Instead of infectious, it was incestuous.
Yep.
Yeah, Old English messed up a letter there. Yeah. It's really good. I like that. 23 whole minutes, guys. We made it. 23.
We can do it. We can do it. How many more puns in last part?
We can just knock them out of the park. Don't worry. We'll get there. I
thought you were going to make a pun then as well.
I'm saving it. It's going to be a surprise, like crocodiles in game.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's another story, kind of like from bugs in game that are really funny and people laugh for about 2 days until we have to fix them because it's impossible to play. So again, Ewan just seems to be in center of today's talking, but he was basically making the dueling system for a month. And that story is just another story where, as I was leaving work, after one day coming to work during summer, I just passed him, as like, hey, why don't we have duels in the game? It's like, no, duels weren't a thing back then. It's preposterous. And I left. And the next day, he sends me a message, I hate you, Jakub. And basically, he spent the following month making dueling event system. That's 1 month of Ewan's life that belongs to me now, and I'm really grateful for it. But basically, the story was he made a 1 in 1,000 chance when you're in a certain region of the world that you will get a random crocodile attack your opponent. And that was supposed to be very Easter eggy, but he kind of flipped the values, where literally in every single option in a duel, you could get attacked or attack with a crocodile, which means you could be in the steppes of, Kazakhstan. You'd get attacked by a crocodile. You could be in Norway. You could get attacked by a crocodile. At some point, we just didn't know what's going on because a crocodile is all there was. And we couldn't test anymore for about a week until he fixed it because there was only crocodiles, croc only. And
that's an absolutely great reason to have to move. Nile. That's a great reason to move what you're testing. We can't test this feature because Ewan's made crocodiles spawn everywhere. So we're going to test something else.
Sounds like a real croc.
I really laid the groundwork for you there, and it just...
You're welcome.
So
everybody. That's actually why crocs are forbidden at the office, too. Complete fashion faux pas.
Oh, no.
I mean, they are very
they're not actually forbidden. They should be, of course. But
it should be in the employee handbook, banning wearing of Crocs.
Yeah. We have certain people that wore Crocs
some people can pull it off.
Who?
Hey, some people can pull it off quite well. I do. I have office Crocs.
You don't.
And I'm proud. I do. You saw them at my desk. Listen, if I look snappy, like I can make everything look good. I'm not saying you don't have
Crocs. I'm saying you shouldn't have Crocs.
Saying it's a crime.
Crocs are comfortable and perfect office attire, and if you say no, Jakub, then you can go away.
I admire your confidence in trying to pull them off. Let's say that.
I think you should crocodile it down.
I'm proud.
Every time he comes in with one, it's next topic. We need to get the word croc away from him. We need to take the word croc away from him, and then we can go with things.
Yeah. Well, okay, fine. Next topic.
I can talk more about Easter egg characters.
You could. Yes, please. Please tell us about Easter egg characters and get me out of these terrible puns.
I'll save you from the situation you yourself have created, sure. Easter egg characters. Every single dev has one, basically, and anyone that's contributed a decent amount to the game can have one as well if they can convince someone to make one. So I think we have like 50 or so of them, maybe even more. And what we realized right around release is that some of them are rather powerful. So powerful that they show up all over the place to an extent that maybe they shouldn't. For instance, we have one character that used to be the person that everyone marries as their first wife because she had fantastic stats, some great traits. Don't think it was literally a genius trait, but like one level short of that and so on. So if you were anywhere near Sweden, you would marry her because it just made perfect sense. Similarly, like my character would show up as like court chaplain all over the place. Several other characters would show up as counselors due to high stats and so on. So we ended up having just to do a pass where we went through every single dev character and nerfed like half of them so that they wouldn't be too overrepresented. I think Matt maybe did that.
Yeah, that was
living their fantasy.
It was me loving it because, I was like, people have given some very generous interpretations of themselves, and it's fine. It's fine. But when you show up, in our tutorial as a game-breaking character, where, oh, you should marry someone, and then you are, like, objectively the best character in the world, or, like, Magne showing up everywhere at, like, 30 learning or something, it was like, maybe tone them all down a little bit. I don't think you were 30. I think someone else had 30, though, and we were like, let's just tone all of them down so they're fun Easter eggs and not objectively the best thing to do in the game.
Right. Which, everybody wants to be the best, but some of us want to be the best at being the worst. There's no wrong.
Some of the Easter egg characters did take that route of they made themselves like as awful as possible. I think Matt, as I mentioned before, one of our QAs, before he made his character like inbred, like an imbecile. Everything.
It was amazing.
And I'm like, this is some top tier content. It juxtaposes very well the like genius, god tier traits.
I like it.
Exactly. Like you should try to give yourself a bit of a middle ground there. Like I've made my character arrogant, for instance. Only like the first level of intellect trait, not genius or anything like that.
That would be almost funny.
You have to keep it within bounds.
Everyone
mine only got a 2 learning nerf or something in that pass, which is less than the average nerf, I believe.
Yeah,
everyone likes kind of like an underdog or a person who doesn't like. It's not like a Superman where it's just flawless. Like that's boring, right? You want to give like 1 or 2 spicy flavors in there, and I just have all of my stats are like close to 0 anyway. I don't care. I'm just made myself as true to life as possible.
Yeah, you're trying to be immersive, though, Jakub.
I zeroed out my prowess as well. I think my martial is like 2. It's just the learning is quite good. Everything else is not so great.
All I'm getting from this is that Magne's a nerd.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Nerd. Oh, wait, you haven't figured that out already?
says the 4 guys sitting talking about making video games.
My good looks.
We're cool. Don't out us, Troy. We're cool. Jeez.
But you know what's not cool? Biohazards at work. I hear somebody created a biohazard at work. And while I didn't experience it myself, I heard it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Jake, you got anything about that?
Well, I do. And again, like, it's really funny because it just shows, like, am I fanboying Ewan much? Or he's just that much of a colorful character?
I realize that, all of your stories are around Ewan.
Yeah, it's just mostly creepy because the man is just such a colorful character. Like, there's not a boring day because, when you go to the office, well, back in the day, which barely anyone remembers anymore, you go to the office and you see like people having desks and everyone likes to kind of customize their desk. You make it a little bit more custom. I used to have plants which died because I haven't visited the office for too long. There's some people who just like it minimalistic and only keep like cable-less stuff. There's people who just like collecting Warhammer figures. And then there's Ewan. And Ewan has 2 computers built in a position and 3 monitors in a position of a complete entrenchment where you can't see him from behind his monitors and he can't see out. He also put a lot of tiny little bits and bobbles that just are very fragile and are very easy to knock over, so you don't want to come close because they're just going to fall over. And also he keeps all his used old tea bags at hand. Rather than throw them out, he just collects them for some reason. And his whole desk is
I
like
imagine he's going to make a quilt or something out of them.
I just don't even understand what's going on because, like, he uses the cup. They just kind of collect the tea bags. There's a lot of Yorkshire tea in there. There's a lot of like figures. He's constantly getting chocolate egged. Don't ask. chocolate.
Yeah. I mean,
so
like, I'm thinking of
there
what
are
I would
eggs
collect
everywhere.
at my desk, and it's not tea bags, right? That's gross.
Well, I mean, you can like compost them and use them for
I mean,
stuff.
I've
but, like,
just collected monitors at my desk. That every time I move desks, if there's a monitor from someone else who moved off of that desk, I just take it with me.
No,
So I started.
Don't sell your share.
No, but I started this company with one monitor, and now I have 4.
of course.
And I move
Yeah, don't
desks
sell
every year
yourself
or
short
so.
because you got a lot of ins at the company. Like you have a lot of friends at the company, Matthew. A lot of friends, and
Who
those
provide
friends
me
hook
with
you up with
monitors.
the best stuff. Monitors, like keyboards, mice, multiple. Like you have so much cool stuff, and here I am with some dinky old keyboard that just doesn't even work properly. And here you are, like Razer keyboard, like building chroma, lightning for whatever, making you feel very insignificant, Matthew.
Also
Man.
got a big 4K monitor as well.
Man.
Very nice.
Talk about Ewan though. Ewan always keeps himself in this little cave of monitors.
His little fort.
Never has headphones on. And one day I was literally standing at his desk trying to talk to him for like 5 minutes. I'm like, hey, Ewan. Just standing at his desk, leaned on the wall. Hey, Ewan. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Ewan. Knocking on his desk. And finally he turns and just
In the clouds.
jumps completely out of his chair. I was like, I've been here talking, literally having a conversation this whole time with him. Didn't even pay any attention to me.
I mean, he was just tuning it out due to all of the puns you spew.
It's true.
He
It's
is
true.
allergic to puns.
He is. It's true.
Though, despite that, he has a pun on his desk as well.
Fantastic.
Like, I was going to a second-hand shop at some point, like 2 years ago, a bit before quarantine began, and I happened upon a caterpillar with the face of a cat, and I immediately think, yes, this is perfect for you, and so I just buy that, stick it on his desk. Yes, exactly, a caterpillar.
But also,
so
like
buy
you
that,
say that,
stick it on his
it
desk.
looks cursed. Like, it really does look cursed.
It does look that cursed.
It looks
It's
quite
beautiful.
cursed. It's a
beautiful on
caterpillar with the face of a cat. It's cursed.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. So just, I stuck that on his desk, wait for the next day. He shows up, no reaction. And he's just kept that on his desk ever since. I don't think he actually knows I'm the one that put it there because
Now he
I don't
does.
think anyone's ever
He's going to
told him.
find out now. You've
So I
outed
hope he
yourself.
watches this and finally finds out the mystery of the caterpillar. And I've confronted him and said that that's a pun. Why aren't you reacting to that when you react to literally every other pun in existence? And he thinks it's fine because it's not a pun, it's wordplay? I don't quite see the logic
He's just trying to
there.
justify
he
it
just
because he
hasn't
likes
noticed.
cats.
Yeah.
He likes cats, and that's
Yeah,
what his
I think that's
justification of why
probably
he
it.
shouldn't hate this is.
True.
Because Ewan
just think he's-
screams literally like he hates puns.
Yeah, he does. He does. But shout out to Ewan for being like a good champ. After this is over, let's you and I grab a beer. You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, he will die if he watches this. He will die. Yeah, no, that's like the best €1 purchase I've ever made.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
we need to make more puns. That's what I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing. That's what I've taken from this stream is that I need to make more terrible puns for everyone.
Just direct it to Ewan, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave me
Yeah.
out of this.
Got it. Nailed it. But we are running swiftly out of time here. And while it's sad, I get to see all three of you every day online. So, I mean, I'm not too terribly torn up about it. And in closing, my favorite question. What was your favorite moment over the past year? Your most memorable, not necessarily the best, but your most memorable favorite moment. Matt, do you want to go first on this one, buddy?
Oh, I mean, well, you've really forced me into saying yes now, haven't you?
Ta-da.
I think for me, over the past year from release, because it's coming up on about that in a little while, is probably launch day, I think. And I'm stealing that because it's an easy one. So.
It is.
So the rest of people have to think of better things now. It's fine, I'll pad for time. Because we were all sitting in a Google Meets, talking together, and then, we all played the game. We all thought it was really good, and we had the reviewers who gave us good impressions. They hadn't released any of their articles yet, and then all at once, the embargo lifted, and all of the reviews started coming out, all of the articles, and it was just a breath of fresh air over everybody. And then the next day was when it dropped then on Steam, and seeing the fans, everyone playing it, it was thousands of users playing it, many reviews coming in, so much on socials, everything, whilst having to balance the hype of that whilst we're sitting at our desks frantically trying to fix any issues that come up that are pressing ones. But overall, it was great. So many years of work and payoff.
Yep.
I've been on the project now for 2.5 years. And there were people that had been on there for even longer than that. And it was just such a feels-good moment of calm now.
I remember sitting in the studio sweating through the entire launch and embargo, just literally sweating, streaming the game and sweating to death, and then bolting downstairs when I was done. And I was like, what are the reviews? Because I was so excited.
On the night when the reviews came out, I couldn't they came out and then the next day was the Steam release and I couldn't sleep. So I was scrolling through Metacritic.
Yep.
And I compiled this is what our scores are relevant to other games in the strategy genre, other games from 2020 across PC and consoles. Where are we at all time? And I was like, this is great.
And now, after you've ruined the fun for everyone else, Magne, what about you?
You gotta make it difficult for me, of course. I mean, let's talk a little bit more about release day first, because that was really the culmination of 2-3 years of work for me. I've worked on CK2 first for a couple of years, and then CK3 for 3 years by this point, and just seeing it all come together at release was really amazing. We knew we had a great product by then, but it was so fantastic to have it confirmed first by the press and then by all of the players. If Matt hadn't shamelessly stolen that one, I would have taken that. So what should I take instead is the question. I mean, I've had a lot of fun recently getting our people down in Malmö up to speed, because they were running Imperator for a while, and sadly Imperator is on hold now. They are now helping us out instead. So we are working on getting them up to speed on our code base and getting them productive. They've been really instrumental in making the Azure patch a thing. We're hoping to release that before the summer, but no guarantees there quite yet. And I've gotten the honor of onboarding the programmers there, and it's been really cool just seeing fresh eyes on the project and trying to make it so that they can contribute great things to the project, both now via the summer patch and in the future working on expansions, content packs, and all of that great stuff. So I think that's been a highlight for me.
Nice. And now we're out of time and Jakub doesn't get to talk. No, but seriously. Jake, what is your favorite moment? What was one of the things that you enjoyed the most out of this last year?
It was just so teary. Everyone's so beautifully, beautiful words. I don't have such words. Obviously, I'm going to tag along and just add to the launch. It was one of the weirdest periods of my life. One of the best periods of my life. And honestly, seeing people happy and seeing people rating the game really high and giving and the game is still rated very high on Steam and elsewhere. And it's just really happy. I'm happy to see all this. And one of the QA on CKIII, Nick, the former lead, now he made a meme with the Simpsons, don't make me tap the sign with 93 Metacritic score for CKIII after launch as his ultimate response to everything. But it was a beautiful time, and I'm just happy that we went through it. But my personal favorite moment, I think, was just kind of owning and working a lot on the Northern Lords, the first flavor pack we released. A lot of the work there from the QA point of view was just kind of, I built up a lot of the systems that we use now. I tried to modernize how we do QA. So hopefully going into the future, this is going to pay off and you guys will just be having a much less buggy game, with the help of 2 programmers here with me in the studio and maybe 1 community manager that sometimes can contribute.
Sometimes
the game is just going to be really fun.
I mean, who do you think is making all of the bugs?
Fair.
Well, you guys are making the bugs. I'm just finding them back for you, and then you have to fix them again, and then you break stuff again, and I'm just there with my little
rinse and repeat
dusting bin
eternally.
That is the game development process.
Welcome to game development. Yep. But, gentlemen, thank you so much for today. I wish we could sit here and do this all day. Maybe we can online later, and I'll, hit you all up, and we can yell at each other. But, Jake, thank you so much for joining us. Magne.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you.
Magne, thank you so much. And last but, maybe least in this case, definitely not least.
Fighting words.
There's fighting words. But thanks, Matt, for being here with me.
Thanks. It's been great fun.
Yeah, and for all of you at home in the community. Yeah, time to fight. We're just gonna all four of us fight. That's the end of this. But really,
I feel like the two of you have a bit of an advantage being on location.
Well, yeah. That just weakens the pool for you guys.
Tactically
1,000 second Troy, Magne. Take the pen.
I can't bet against that.
Drop it. We'll just drop each other right here. I like the plan. But in a serious note, thank you everyone at home. Thank you to the community for making the game what it is. Thank you for getting us through the launch. Thanks for supporting us, giving us your ideas, giving us your feedback, and making it what it is going into the future. We look forward to all the things that we can bring you and the journey that we have together. And we will see you in our next segment. Bye, everybody.
Bye.